Imagine it's 5 a.m. You're in bed, your family's asleep, and in the next 60 seconds, your life as you know it is over. You hear the screech of tires, not one car, but dozens. Paramilitary trucks are lining your curb outside. You look out the window and you see flashlights, tactical gear, guns, and battering rams. But these aren't people coming to investigate. These are people coming to harvest you as a crop. They don't care about your innocence. In fact, your innocence is what makes you dangerous to them. It makes you an anomaly. It makes you a threat to the entire system. Now, look at your phone in your hand. In the time it takes you to unlock your phone, your bank accounts have been frozen. Your assets and the wealth you spent a lifetime building are confiscated, and they're in the hands of a court-appointed agent who will personally profit millions for him and his firm by dismantling your life. See, they want you to panic. They want you to scream about your so-called rights and fairness and all the liberal democracy stuff that you learned in school. As guys, we're looking for logic in the chaos, but you must realize that this world does not owe you a fair fight. It owes you nothing but the consequences of being unprepared. Career bureaucrats don't play by the rules they taught you in civics class. They play for control of the narrative. The example I just gave you isn't a what-if scenario at all. This is my real life. That's my story. It happened to me. And I'm standing here because I refuse to be crushed by the machine. Now, maybe you aren't facing 30 states and intelligence agencies you've never even heard of. Maybe your situation feels lesser on paper, but it does not feel lesser to you. It could be a scorched earth divorce or a co-founder trying to heist control of your company. Maybe it's an ex-girlfriend whispering lies to a DA just to get a political scalp. The scale might change, but the spirit of the attack is always the same for men. It's an attempt to use a broken system to steal your peace, your property, and ultimately your life. So what is a modern man to do? Arguing your innocence with these types of people is futile. They don't want the truth, they want blood. So here's the part I've never told anybody. There was a moment where I almost broke. Not when the agents showed up with guns in my face and battering rams, not when the accounts froze, not when the headlines went live. I broke later. I broke when I realized this wasn't about winning. That's the mistake I made originally. They thought pressure would make me collapse, comply, or disappear. But the moment I understood this was a siege, everything changed in my mind. That realization is irreversible. You stop trying to clear your name. You stop thinking you have any rights. You stop begging from people who profit from destruction, and you stop reacting to circumstances. And that's when you become a strong man. Because siege warfare only works on men who still believe their savior is coming. This is where most guys fail. They think fairness is a shield. It isn't. The world owes you consequences for being unprepared. That's all. That's why you don't become a victim. So what can men do? They can become alchemists. Not as strange as it sounds. We live in an age where AI is just sand that we taught to think. And money is just energy, right? If we can make sand think, you can make your own suffering work for you. That's modern alchemy. You don't just endure the attack, you harness it. You take the lie that they throw at you and you perform psychological judo. When political operators smear your name online, when they call you a fraud or a scammer, that smear is the ultimate filter. It will cause the weak-minded and the cowards to run for the hills. So let them go. They were weights that you don't need on your ascent to greatness. The men who stay, those are your brothers. When you are pure of heart, and when the lie eventually chokes the liars, you just have to stand long enough to watch them gag on their own deceit. But by no means should you ever be passive if you're under lawfare. If they come for the king's head, they better not miss, because every day you survive the lie, your legend grows stronger. And once you survive long enough, they stop trying to exhaust you. It's no longer a war of attrition. They try to erase you. This is usually where they file an indictment designed to trap you in process, not prove guilt. And they ultimately will wait years and years to do this, so you're already starving. If they take your freedom, they still can't touch your mind though. Never forget, we live in a world where the JE clients are protected, where the darkest deeds on Caribbean islands and who knows where are celebrated, and where the innocent are branded as criminals. In a world this inverted, being wrongly imprisoned can still feel like hell, but hell can be used. History was written by men in cells. Think of Boethius, Gramsci, or Solzhenitsyn. They didn't sit in their cells weeping like cowards. They were not pathetic losers like these modern men. They turned those four walls of their cage into a cathedral of focus. They wrote blueprints for future civilizations. If you find yourself in a cell as a man, you are not locked up. You are in a monastic retreat. To survive real lawfare, you need a psychological shield. You cannot improvise this. I'll give you the framework I used during a $185 million fake news attack. This is not theory. This is my actual life. Pillar 1 is sovereignty. Your spirit is a locked room. They can take your property, they can take your time, they can take your comfort, but they cannot enter that room unless you open the door. You are the only authority over your soul. Pillar 2 is Stoicism. Emotion is a leak. The moment you get angry, they win. The moment you get desperate, they win. When the rams hit and the door caves in, you don't react, you calculate. Only calculating men survive legal wars. Pillar 3 is utility. Everything becomes material. Every lie, every filing, every headline. While they fight a straw man, you become formless like wind. While they perform, you gather intelligence. And pillar 4 is defiance. Survival is your great victory. The state doesn't want a trial. It never wants to see a jury. It wants a siege that is endless. It wants time to do the killing for it. Staying calm, staying visible, staying alive, that alone breaks the machine. The establishment relies on one thing. That's your compliance to shadow law. Rules enforced by unelected administrators, not juries. Remember who they are. They are bureaucrats with badges, people who have never built a company or took a risk in their lives. They live off paychecks from taxpayers like you and I. You are a builder. You are a creator. You are an alchemist. They will try to starve you. They will try to isolate you, and they will try to make the process your true punishment. So in those moments of deep despair, stand in the doorway of your soul and remind yourself, I am the storm. You are not in a storm, you are the storm. You are the gold that the fire cannot consume. And the more they try to burn you, the more they realize they have planted a seed unknowingly that will ultimately turn into a giant oak. I am building an army of men who understand this, but we are conquering inward, not outward. The true battlefield is the mind of man. If you can master your mind, the state has no power over you. If you can remain sovereign under pressure, you have already won. I have documented the entire framework. I call it the protocol. It's the manual paid for in my own blood and my own suffering. This is not self-help. It's infrastructure. I'll be releasing the videos in a series. If you don't know you're in war, that does not protect you. Ignorance isn't neutrality, it's exposure. The enemy has one goal. Delete a man's sovereignty at all cost. And they're coming for all men. Make no mistake. They just started with me. I'm taking the risk to help you prepare before the knock on your door comes. Subscribe right here, watch my next video, and I'll see you inside the protocol.